Okay guys, so I have something going on today. I had decided not to jump into the why did I lose ZvT quite yet because I keep getting requests for a build order for ZvP Swarmhost. And the truth of it is, I don't know my own build order. I know that sounds terrible, but the truth of it is I actually found I play better if I don't develop a structured build order, any kind of strict, okay, at this drone count I must build this, because I find that I'm so rigid I don't react well. So this build order has just kind of organically developed since beta, and actually I thought it would be kind of fun to, without even looking at a replay, without analyzing my build, whatever, we're going to go through for the first time with me just playing it out and looking at the drone count and saying, okay, at this build, or at this drone count, we're going to make X, Y, or Z. And I'll try my best, because I will be playing against a live opponent, I'll try my best to explain the different kind of branch outs of the build, because there's a few key moments that you need to make an important decision. And for anything I can't cover at the time that I'm playing, I will go ahead and take a look at the quick replay. My opponent's going to be GosuDecku, and let's just take a look. I think he's high diamond. Not too terribly worried here about this being a... Yeah, load. Not too worried about this game being necessarily... Oh, he did make it into Master. Awesome. Gotta congratulate him if my StarCraft would stop geeking out. Okay, sorry, enough watching that. Let's get this show on the road. So my opponent's GosuDecku, Master Protoss, and we are going to go ahead and have a quick ZvP, and I will try to figure out all of our timings as we go. So this will be kind of fun. Up until this point, all of my timings have been like, well, when my second queen finishes, I make a gas, things like that. Just to kind of avoid that structure that tends to hold me back. Now, the other thing is, once we figure out this build order, don't be surprised if you see on my stream the very next day, hello, volume, the very next day, I don't follow this build order, because that's kind of the whole part of this being organic for me, is I'm maybe less consistent than, say, Stefano, who has the most structured build orders ever, and I'm less consistent than Stefano, because he'll always be a better player than me, but still. That also means I'm going to probably let this build continue to change over time, either through my own mistakes that turn out to be profitable, or stuff that actually makes sense to me. So, first step here is I already know, is going to be Extractor Trick up to 11, and then go ahead and get that Overlord. This is the 11 overpool, and this has been one that I've used in ZvP for quite a while, good 2 years or so now. So, gotta get used to watching my minerals and talking at the same time. That's always fun. Well, of course, stacking my drones. So, I found this is to be really stable if you're staying on 2 base for a while. If you're going right up to 3 base, it's problematic. It's going to be a lot worse than 15 pool, but especially since right now everyone's pylon blocking, this is going to treat you really well. It's actually better than a 14 pool economically if you're staying on 2 base. However, if you're going for a quick gas, then you're actually going to want to be on 14 pool rather than 11 overpool. It's kind of wonky like that. I spent a long time on Evolution Chamber, that build order calculator, just forcing either 11 overpool or 14 pool to see what could achieve various 2 base plays and quickest. And 11 overpool is slightly ahead, and obviously hit quicker Zerglings for scouting and things to that effect as well. I'm going to drone up to 16 here. Now this is the first branch out. If I did not see a probe scout for a little while longer, I would go ahead and just drone to 15 and Extractor Trick out 2 sets of Zerglings, just in case of a proxy 2-gate, or blind Nexus first. It'll punish both of those really well. You'll auto-win versus both of them, for the most part. So that's really good. In this case, I've got a drone, or I've got a probe scout, so I'm going to go ahead and Extractor Trick out my only set of Zerglings for the game, probably. And he's going to go ahead and hang out at my natural, and that's part of what's so great about this build, is you're going to be able to go ahead and clear out that natural just in time to drop your hatchery. Once in a while they will pylon block, but it's not really cost effective since you've already got Zerglings breaking that. Overlord immediately afterwards, just because I have a deliberate supply block here, but that doesn't mean I want to hang out at 19 out of 18 for too terribly long. I'm going to go ahead and break apart my pack of Zerglings. Oh, he's going to reveal. Okay. So he strolls back. 2 drones. I'm now at 20 supplies, so that's going to be our first point. And I will mark all these timings down in the description for this YouTube cast. 20 supply. Now I'm going to go up to 22 with a queen. Getting a good scout here. Okay, we've got a kind of wonky wall, but we'll make something work with it. So, now I'm going to immediately Overlord afterwards. This is to avoid the supply block that would otherwise occur when my Larva Inject pops. Should pop just before, or my Overlord should pop just before the Larva Inject. And just continue droning now. We're in that phase for ZvP where we're perfectly happy to just non-stop drone. We're going to go up to 3 queens here. And just about ready to go ahead and drop our extractor. So this is a good time, right when the queen finishes. So we can then say at 28 supply, you're going to go ahead and drop that queen. Then once you're up to 150 minerals again, go ahead and get that 3rd queen. Or I'm sorry, drop that extractor. So, 28 extractor, then sneak in a drone, 28 queen. And now I've got to make sure I don't supply block while I'm talking. The nice thing about this is, notice when my hatchery is going to pop. This is actually a really good time here because this is going to pop. The hatchery pops, giving me 2 more supply, and there we go. Spending's nice and clean. So that's actually one kind of fun way you can tell if your hatchery was late for any reason, because it'll be very blatantly obvious because you'll supply block for a nice long time. Instead, this Overlord's right about to pop. I was a little late on it, but nothing too terrible. Alright, we're ready to spend. We're going to go ahead and preemptively make another Overlord because we can afford to. Now notice my Overlord pathing. I'm trying to make sure I dodge any wandering stalkers, but I do want to make sure I'm in position to go ahead and creep block anything that's any expansion attempts here very soon, because we are taking a quick lair, so we want to capitalize on that. And I'm rallying to my natural for a good long while. I'm ready to go ahead and start the lair. If you have to prioritize starting your lair or spending your drones, you want to prioritize starting your lair at this point. This timing's really tight. You need to make sure you have Swarmhost out in time to hold various forms of aggression. Alright, and at about 50 gas, I'm going to go back and double check some of these drone timings because I'm trying to focus on actually still playing a good game here. So at about 50 gas, in this case 49 supply, we're going to go ahead and get our 2nd gas. And again, I'll have all this on the YouTube channel as a actual structured build order so that it makes a little more sense than what I'm blabbering about. Right at 100 gas, we're going to go ahead and notice that works out so well. We were keeping our spending low, we started Pneumatized Carapace, and this timing is going to work out really well because we're going to have Pneumatized Carapace ready just in time for our Overseer to finish morphing. Go ahead and start a Spine right about this point. Since I saw Forge first, I'm comfortable with delaying that Spine a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get you on 9. I'm going to go ahead and get this one ready in position to block, and this one in position to block, and lastly, this one as well. Alright, so now we've got our Infestation Pit, and then we're going to go ahead and spam, spam, spam. We need our Extractors while we're waiting for that. Timing's not quite working out perfectly, but that's fine. I'm talking while playing, so I'm not going to be too hard on myself. Alright, so we're at 67 supply now. I'll have to, again, watch the replay to see what time the actual Infestation Pit went down. Alright, we're ready to cruise in. Our speed is done. We're going to go ahead and get these saturated. Too many. Give me 1 second to get caught up. I can't keep talking and playing. Alright, get some scouting information. We see tons of gateways. We're going to go ahead and drop 2 more spines. Now, we have a mineral float. This isn't deliberate. Normally we want to be a little higher on gas than we are right now. So, whenever you have that happen, you're going to go ahead and get a couple extra queens. You're going to need them anyways. Get them poop and creep. Get you poop and creep. Get you poop and creep. Okay, so this is great. He's going for a gateway timing, or at least some pressure. So this is going to work out really, really well. This is a bit of a hard counter for us. So we're going to kind of dodge this here. The spines are going to buy a little bit of time. Oh, we're going to fail to dodge. Spines are going to buy us a little bit of time. And keep in mind, we're on equal base, but we're fine with that. Now, we are actually a little too high on drones. Got a little too overzealous with them because I was high on minerals. But what you're going to see here, if I could stop losing Overlords. Now, don't do this. When you get Overlord speed, make sure you actually capitalize on it. I'm losing Overlords left and right, and that shouldn't happen. When you are getting fast Overlord speed, you need to make sure that you lose as few as possible. And we can actually go ahead and get a little cute with our Swarmhost here. Start applying a little pressure. He's doing this blind, so this is actually really good for us. A lot of players will do this because the metagame is so fast third heavy. And he's already taken some free damage there. Once he sees those Swarmhosts, he's going to immediately recognize that he's got to do damage. I mean, he needs to be doing damage right now. He needs to be already at my spines, whittling them down. I'm going to go ahead and get the queens in position. He's going to try and force field off my ramp, so I got to keep these spines alive. Okay, he decides not a good idea. Now again, keep in mind, since we're on Swarmhost and he is on gateway units, we can stay on 2 base all day long. I'm going to go ahead and get my... Whoa, that's a Baneling nest. I'm going to go ahead and get my double upgrades going, just so that we have some long game. He's probably already out-upgraded us. Yep, 101. Which is fine since he's stuck on gateway units, but once he's on Colossus tech, we're going to need to catch up those upgrades. Alright, we're getting close to that critical mass of Swarmhost, but first things first, we want to go ahead and push him back a bit. We don't want to be moving Overlords out for that Queen Swarmhost creep spread if he's going to go ahead and just snipe him like he did there at the start. Alright, let's go ahead and spam out some more Queens, and we can go ahead and start that Hatchery. Worst case scenario, he kills it, and it baits him to move forward. Take some more free damage. Go ahead and get those upgrades started. Again, sorry I'm not seeing all these timings, but this is the point in the game where it's all very reactionary. Like, this expansion timing would not have been anything like what it was if I saw, for example, a Immortal expand. I would have expanded the moment I scouted it, and then started my Queen and Swarmhost production. So, you really need to react to what you see. If you see Gateway all in, then you can go ahead and recognize that and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to still take my third beforehand, and I'm going to have a huge tech advantage. And that's what we have here. So now I'm just getting out those Queens. I need all my gas for Swarmhosts and upgrades, so I'm really just going to support with Queens for a while here. He's going to possibly attempt to run by, so that's also something I need to be prepared for. So eventually I'm going to spam out some more Spines. He's double upgrading, or double expanding. Pretty good call. Could work. He definitely has to catch up his economy at this point because this isn't a situation where he can afford to be on an equal basis. He actually needs to be a base up versus Swarmhost. Sounds weird, I know. Go ahead and start damaging that, because it looks like I'm going to be in a position here where I can shut it down with this next spawn. And this one I'll go ahead and do a little rally point, split a couple of these off, just to distract him. Make sure he loses something if he just focuses him down. Alright, once this 1-1 finishes, I'm going to go ahead and... there it goes. This 1-1 finishes, I'm going to go ahead and start rallying Roaches and possibly Hydras. He has made a quick Colossus transition. He and I have played quite a bit, so he kind of knows what to expect. So this is good. Now, the opening was a little surprising because he did kind of play into a build counter there. This is not so great. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. I'm going to pull out my Queens here because I may need to transfuse. Just want to keep as many of them alive as possible. Alright. So, one Swarmhost lost for a little bit of miss micro, no big deal though. So he's going to go ahead and duck around. This is good. We'll go ahead and just micro these, try and get him into a bit of a pincer here. And we want to just tuck these way back. Oh, I have the egg selected. There we go. And he's going to take a ton of free damage here. No, he's not going to commit. It's a good call. Alright, so we're ready to actually move into Colossus tech. I'm going to probably need to even multi-prong these Swarmhosts a little bit, because there's just not enough supporting units comparatively. Some more Queens. Notice I'm discontinuing injections. Not going to be too big of a deal. Go ahead and take another base. Oh, that's off. Take my Extractors. This is so hard to do. I forgot how hard it is to cast and play. Then we're going to go ahead and move out. Where's my Overseer? I think he sniped it. Normally I need to have some Changelings up, so I'm spamming out a bunch of Overseers here. At this stage of the game, I'd rather go ahead and make too many, because they will snipe them for Dark Templar damage. And let's get those Spines out for the eventual run-by. Okay, this is great. You always want to be able to get a chance where they actually have to trade force fields for Swarmhosts. One's infinite, the other's not. I'm going to go and break this down. This is probably going to be our point of attack going into the late game, because it looks like we're going to go into that. Get a block here, so that'll be good. Should have already had that up. Whoa. Oh yeah, no more right-click on those. That's going to make it a little more difficult for Swarmhost to be cute. Okay, let's get some Changelings out. You really need Changelings covering your flank and covering your approach. So if you walk into a bad situation, you could lose all of your Swarmhosts. Alright, let's go ahead and get those Roaches. It's going to be our support here. And so notice the spending stays pretty clean even though I'm not injecting, just because anytime I need to I can dump into Queens and more Swarmhosts, both obviously very larva efficient. Alright, let's go ahead and get these gases saturated. I don't really need the minerals, I'll just leave that transfer healthy. Just bouncing around a bit. Eventually I'm going to split up, force them into a multi-prong, but I don't want to commit to that quite yet until I've got some better supporting units. You can lose the game with that multi-prong if you time it wrong. Also want my creep spread a little healthier. And we're ready to go ahead and get just a few Vipers, there we go, to finish out our supply. Especially with what he's committing to for his units. Vipers are going to be phenomenal. He may not even be into Blink yet. It doesn't look like he would be. We are going to go ahead and do a quick glance, just to make sure we don't have any surprise tech. Alright, and since we're maxed out now, we're ready to go ahead and split up our Swarmhost. This is where it gets really fun. We're going to skip a spawn here to go ahead and do just probably the cutest thing ever in this game. I love it. Don't want to delay this too long. I'm kind of pushing my luck here. He's going to know something's up, but it's looking like it's going to work out. Okay, we're in position. Now it gets to fight on 3 fronts for a while. And we'll go ahead and expand behind this. Getting to the point here we really want to be on low drone count, so we're going to go ahead and also spam out some more. So now, he's going to lose something no matter what angle he defends. It's really dirty. I mean, really dirty. Many times you can just sit back and let this happen. However, while our Vipers are charging up, we're going to go ahead and push behind this from one angle every time. We're going to maybe even change up what angle we approach from. So this time he's defending the bottom, so we're going to probably pull back later and approach from the top. Transfuse, transfuse, transfuse. This looks like it's going really well, actually. And we're ready to pull back. Got a little off creep. Also need our burrow, but this is going to work out just fine. Just spam out those transfuse. This is where that synergy between Queen and Locust goes really well. Snipe a couple Colossus, at least get some damage. And we're ready to go ahead and probably advance our Swarmhost. This spawn will allow us to. Now, the really great thing is look at how they're advancing. 3 different angles. So we go ahead and go halfway up, and we go ahead and now we just push the pincer that much closer. Vipers are ready now, and this will be the nail in the coffin. Got some idle workers, and we have some more supply. We'll go ahead and get some Hydras just to give some versatility to this army. Push up a little more. And you can just keep this micro clean every step of the way just by keeping them all on the same hotkey. You just got to keep in mind you don't ever want to allow them to move forward unburrowed when you thought you were rallying your Locusts. That is really bad. That loses games. So let's see what kind of damage we can do to his third. It's completely undefended, so we can do a ton of damage. And I actually need some Overlords following this drop and creep, but at this point the game's probably going to end here pretty quick. So, okay, he's committed to Void Ray, so I'm going to go ahead and push for the win. Let's go ahead and grab our Overlords here, poop a little creep. I love how these days I can say poop creep and not chuckle. Alright, so what this is going to do, since he's committed to... that's actually a move command on that. Rocks. Since he's committed to Void Ray, we're going to just probably straight up win this game with Transfuse Micro and some Vipers once the creep spread is in place. And I'll go ahead and put a couple roaches down there just to task as multitasking a bit. But Void Rays just really don't handle this kind of thing very well. I'm going to split up my Swarmhost just to make sure that there's not too much bottleneck going on for my Locusts. That'll be good. And we're ready for our final push. And we'll just rally. Actually, we're going to grab a couple extra hatcheries here. We're just going to rally from this. Burrow micro. Move along. Nothing to see here. We're just going to keep this process going here. Pretty soon here, probably the next spawn, I'm going to go ahead and use up my Viper energy. And we're good to go. Alright, we're ready to move up the Swarmhost. Go ahead and get the Vipers back recharging. Nice thing is your queens will naturally just snipe observers accidentally. So oftentimes you can say, hey, guess what? You probably don't have detection. So you notice this? I can just sit here and wait because he accidentally lost his detection earlier on. Transfuse. And this is distracting my Locust, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Ready for some creep a little higher up. Burrow again. Get some more rally here. And we're just about ready to finish the game up. In fact, I'll go ahead and push up with this. Doing a little target fire, but needs a lot more than that. They need to have like 4 or 5 Colossus and be target firing the entire time. This micro here, all I'm doing is holding down T and spamming click. You just want to have the repeat settings high on your keyboard. Whoop. So that you can click as many times as you want to keep that micro going. Alright. So, couple things there. Well, you know what, let's just watch the replay real quick. I felt like that was a pretty good example of a game that played out pretty well to show kind of all stages. There's a couple branch outs there that I want to describe. Okay, so let's watch the replay. I don't want to get him in the... Oh god, I'm so bad at party. Okay. More, leave party. Okay, he left the party. Yeah, you can tell I don't group much in the new format. Okay, so we're going to watch this at probably 4 speed. I just want to talk about a couple points here where your build is going to change drastically. And I tried to mention them as I saw them, but wasn't able to catch all of them just because, like I said, casting and playing is hard. Okay, so I think 8 speed's going to lag. We'll find out. We'll go 8 speed for a little bit here. Yeah, it's fine. And we're going to take a look at our... Well, let's take a look at our income so we can see where our drone count goes. And then also keep track of that supply. So we got 11 overpool. Then we drone up to 19. At 19 supply, we drop our hatchery after starting our Overlord. Again, all this will be on the YouTube channel's description, or the YouTube video's description. 2 sets of Zerglings. Now at 22 supply, we're dropping, or we're 20 supply, we're starting another Queen. Then immediately afterwards, another Overlord. 24 supply. There we go. 28 supply, we're starting our Extractor. Drone up 1. 28 supply, we start another Queen. And nothing's going to happen except for droning for a little bit. Again, this wasn't optimal. I should have started my 3rd and 4th Extractor a little quicker. I maybe even could have gone so far as to start them at the same time that I started my 2nd Extractor. Alright, so we just started our Lair. That was at 46 supply. Now at 53 supply, we're starting our 2nd Extractor. This is the point I would say right about now you want to be starting your 3rd and 4th. Don't make the same mistake I made here. So we'll call it 58 supply, you start your 3rd and 4th Extractor. And make sure you put your Overseer on a control group, because a lot's going to happen. I want to kind of pause here. A whole lot's going to happen here right at this moment your Lair finishes. You're going to be doing a bunch of things. You're going to be putting Overlords into position to drop creep and starting them on the drop creep. You may even want to get really cool about it and put them all in a control group so you can just press the control group and press G. I am not quite that cool yet. So what we're going to do here is actually we're going to put all the Overlords in position, we're going to drop creep, we're going to start our Infestation Pit, we're going to start our Overseer, and we're going to rally our Overseer. We're also going to probably start Spores. Depends on what you've seen thus far. If you have seen no pressure whatsoever, you absolutely want to start Spores, because the timing of your Overseer getting in to see Dark Templar or an Oracle Rush versus the Dark Templar or Oracle Rush arriving is like split second, and it's just not worth the risk. I would say just start a Spore at your Natural's entrance, start a Spore at each mineral line. It's better safe than sorry, because you're not going to be that high of a drum count anyways. But if you have seen like 2 Stalkers and a Zealot and a Mothership core pressuring, then forego the Spores for a bit. That's not a big deal. They can't pull off that pressure and Dark Templar Rush. Or I should say they can't off of a Forge Fast Expand. Oh, God, I completely forgot something. Okay, so I saw Forge Fast Expand, right? And said, well, okay, I'll forego my Spine, etc., etc., etc. The 11 overpool has kind of a major weakness that most people don't know how to capitalize on. Some people at the really high level, they will metagame it, and they'll just know how to punish it. And that is, if they go gateway, like some kind of high ground gateway, into expand, into Mothership core pressure, into like low economy 5 gate, you will be absolutely crushed. I've had a lot of times where drone micro can save me, but it's not worth the risk. It's another one of those situations. You know, you miss a stop command on your drones for 1 second, you'll lose them all. And sometimes even that's not enough. So what that means is if you see Gateway before Forge, you're going to want to go ahead and probably get a spine the moment your natural finishes to already go ahead and deal with the initial pressure. And when your layer starts, you probably want one more spine and a second if you've lost map control. If they've cleared out your Xel'Nagas, if they manage to kill both Zerglings, I shouldn't say map control, you've already lost map control, but if you don't have Zerglings available to scout their natural to see what they're chrono boosting on their Forge or Cyber or whatever happens to be at the front door, I would go ahead and make probably 2 more spines for a grand total of 3, again, just to be safe. Because the rule of thumb with any kind of Swarmhost play is just to stay alive. You just want to get to that end game where you can do all sorts of fancy stuff like you know, splitting up your Swarmhost at 3 different angles and shutting them down. So, anyways, where was I? Yeah, I'm going a little ADD here with this cast. Sorry about that. Mountain Dew and coffee don't mix. So, from here, we are at 60 drones. We actually over-droned a bit. And I recognize, okay, he's probably not expanding. We got in, we see a bunch of gateways. We know there's some pressure, and actually, we see from the drone count, he's at 39 probes. So this isn't just light pressure, he is going all in. And then he goes ahead and macros out of it reasonably well as he can, given that he's at 39 drones at this point, and that he was putting chrono boost in his 1-1, or 1-0-1, I guess you would call it. So at this point is the other kind of branch out I wanted to discuss, and I talked about it a little bit, and that was just, if you see something that looks like high aggression, I don't care if it's Stargate based, or if it's Gateway based, or if it's double robo off of 2 base, don't worry about expanding. I mean, you may want to go ahead and take your third if you're really high on minerals and you can't dump them into queens, but you're taking that third not so that you can drone it, you're taking that third as a reason for him to attack you and lose units. And if he doesn't kill it, then rock on, you just transfer some drones to it. But do not make drones for that third. You are under no obligation whatsoever to go higher than 60 drones worth of income. So don't be concerned with that. Vice versa, if he already took his third, just take your third right away too. Just match him on bases. If he hasn't taken his third yet, but all you see is a robo and a couple gateways, or maybe a Stargate and a couple gateways, then sure, go ahead and take your third. Why not? He can't do anything about it. And you're going to be short 2 queens for your pressure, which compared to the benefit of just splitting up your mining and no longer being on 24 saturation per base, that's worth something. Lastly, with droning, when you get to the stage of the game where you're applying pressure to his third, because if this were not a 2 base attack, what this would have been is he expands, I creep spread all the way through here with about 6 overlords, and I go ahead and make the crawl out, dropping creep tumors along the way with my queens so that I have a retreat path if my overlords die. I start applying pressure here, maybe even back here with my Swarmhost. I'm just going to cover them with the queens. Depending on what I see, I may even push up with the queens to do a little free damage behind the locust wall. During that time, you're going to go ahead and sneak in some drones. I'm talking like 4 to 6 drones at a time. You're never going to hit a huge drone cycle. I mean, maybe if you just feel there's absolutely no way he can punish it, but keep in mind, your end game is at most 70 drones, but if you go to 80 or 90, your critical mass is going to be impossible to reach on your Swarmhost, which I would say, you know, as we saw there, I had probably 30 Swarmhosts, I would say. I don't know exactly. Actually, we can find out real quick. And it was so effective. And at first glance, it's like, well, that's too many Swarmhosts. He's just going to force field the Locust out. But once you split up into multiple attack paths, it's just so good. It really does force them into air, which opens them up to the Queen Hydra response, which, in my opinion, actually really does hard counter Protoss air. It's just, it takes a lot of transfuse micro. So, that's actually all there is to it. Again, the build order is going to be on YouTube, so if all of this went a little fast, it'll be there. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to ask in the channel, or in the responses or comments or whatever they're called. I get my Twitch and my YouTube confused. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have on this. So let's just go ahead and cruise through this. I'm really curious what my Swarmhost count was, because it was really high. And other than that, if anyone wants to go ahead and tune out, feel free, because it's pretty much the end of the cast. I'm just wasting your time for curiosity's sake. So we're 17 now, then 21. And actually some of this was just kind of me just being so busy yapping, I just kept mashing the A key. I do like to get over 20, over a full page of Swarmhost, but more often than not I can't afford to. When they open Gateway Heavy, you can get away with it oftentimes, because they're going to pull back and they're going to try this kind of thing where they double expand to try and recover their economy. So it looks like we cut at 25 Swarmhosts. It's pretty healthy. Alright, so let's go ahead and call it. So again, thanks a bunch for watching. I'm going to try and make the next one the why did I lose ZVTs for a while, because I think that's actually going to help me a lot as a player, just to be able to look at those and kind of pick the game apart from a kind of a analytical standpoint without having any nerd rage involved. So that'll be fun. Hopefully this weekend I'll get to the first one of those. Alright, thanks again for watching, guys.